My name is Jeff Morrow. I'm the director of the base construction program here at Winthrop, and I coordinate the snow skiing and snowboarding classes that are offered every spring term. So the purpose of this meeting is to kind of give you an overview of what is included in the class, and kind of what you need to do to enroll and be a part of this 4-day trip we're going to take. So we'll get started. Okay, general trip info. When is the trip? This year, the trip is going to be held Monday, January 9. Oh, January 6 through Thursday, January 9. That is the week before spring term classes begin here at Winthrop. We have a little bit of a later start this spring. Classes don't begin till Monday the 13th. So even after our trip is done and you get back, you still have kind of a full weekend to get set for the start of spring classes here at Winthrop. Where are we going? We go to Boone, North Carolina, only 2.5 hours up Highway 321, so it's a pretty simple drive up the mountain, and that's where we hang out for 4 days. All right, so what's included in the trip? Whether you're signed up for the beginner or the intermediate section, both classes include the same thing. We are going to have a total of 4 sessions of skiing or snowboarding. We'll be there Monday evening and then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. The first night and 2 days, so Monday through Wednesday, we're going to be at Appalachian Ski Mountain. A little bit smaller of a mountain, but that is where all of our lessons are going to take place. It's a great venue for learning to ski or snowboard. You can generally get more runs in and you won't fatigue as quickly. The final day, we go to Sugar Mountain, a little bit larger of a mountain. All of our lessons are done by this point, so we're basically going somewhere new to check out some new terrain. All of your instruction is included. We work with the French Swiss Ski College based out of App Ski Mountain. They do a tremendous job and have a great customer service orientation and really do their best to make sure you're getting what you need to learn and improve. All of your equipment is included. Most students don't have it, so they provide it, whether that's your skis, your ski boots and poles, or if you're a snowboarder, they'll give you a snowboard and your boots. Your lift tickets are provided. It's kind of like your ticket to get out onto the mountain and to ride the ski lifts. All of those are provided. Your lodging, that's a big one. The lodging is provided for us. They put us up at a Super 8 right there in Boone, about 10-15 minutes from the mountain. But it's a nice, easy commute to and from the mountain each day. And then finally, you'll receive the text for your course. Okay. Regardless of which class you sign up for in Wingspan, whenever we fill out the paperwork to send into French Swiss, you're going to be indicating what your current skill level is, whether that's beginner, intermediate, a little more advanced. We're going to indicate that on the form. Wingspan really doesn't know the difference between your skill levels, so you could sign up for beginner or intermediate. Okay, a couple things that aren't included. First thing, transportation. We don't rent a big bus and drive up into the mountains. Generally not the best time of year for doing that. So most of the groups that go up are going to carpool together, which is what we encourage. Again, it's only about 2.5 hours, 120 miles, straight up Highway 321. Pretty easy commute. And then you're going to be able to drive to and from the mountain each day. Your meals. The hotel does provide a breakfast in the mornings, which is great, and I strongly encourage taking advantage of that. But really beyond that, you're covering your lunch and your supper. There are plenty of options available. I'd say most students will kind of pack a cooler with lunch. Some will do what I do and just stuff their ski jacket full of snacks and snack during the day, then maybe get something in the evenings. But Boone is a college town. Plenty of restaurants, fast food options available. There are grocery stores for people who want to go shopping. So they do have a ski lodge at both of the mountains, but most of the food in there, it's a little pricier and it's not always the best quality, but that is there on site if needed. Okay, this is kind of a big question that people have, like how much does the trip cost? For nearly all of our PESH classes here at Winthrop, there is a course fee attached to the course, and when a student signs up, it kind of automatically charges your student account. With this particular course, it's hard to do that because the trip cost is dependent on a few different factors. Number one, are you going to ski or snowboard? You'll notice that the snowboard rates are a little bit higher, about $25 higher than the ski rates, and that's just because the equipment's a little bit more to rent. And then the other factor that determines cost is housing needs. If you know someone who lives in Boone or the Blowing Rock area and they're willing to put you up, by all means, you can stay with them and save a little bit. But most of the students who come on this trip, they're going to be kind of buddying up in different rooming groups. You can kind of see if you wanted a single room to yourself, you can. It's going to cost you a little bit more, but that's fine. And then you can have 2, 3, or 4 people in a room. Biggest cost break you can see comes when you have 4 people in a room. That's the max number they allow, but that's most of the groups that come are probably shooting for 3 to 4 people in a room. Far right column, you'll notice that if you have your own equipment, you can save a little bit, kind of save that equipment rental fee by bringing your own. And as long as it's appropriate, you're welcome to do that. You'll notice at the bottom of the table, kind of the bottom row, if a student does sign up for this class and then decide later on that I'm not able to attend for some reason, I don't know, maybe your family schedules a cruise over our trip dates and you want to go on the cruise instead. French Swiss will refund that amount except for $110. They've already made some arrangements, some reservations. Your roommates were kind of banking on you being there. So they'll refund everything but $110. And then these rates also include a minimal fee, kind of like the credit card processing fee. So that's included there. Okay, before I talk about what just popped up, I will say that these rates are excellent. The ski school that we work with, we've been working with them for probably over 20 years, and we've kind of worked out a partnership, and they have worked out all the partnerships with the different mountains, the hotels, to really keep these rates as low as possible. They know that you're college students, they know that you're taking this class for credit, so we receive discounted rates. To get a 4-day trip during this holiday season for ski and snowboarding with everything that's provided, these rates are excellent. If I tried to go on a trip by myself, kind of independently, I would be spending probably 2 to 3 times this much for a trip like this. So these rates are really good, and because of that, we cannot allow friends or family members outside of this class to participate. To qualify for these rates, you've got to be a student. You got to be registered for one of our PESH classes to qualify for these rates. So just be mindful of that. Okay, why are lessons important? They're important because a majority of the people who try skiing and snowboarding for the first time without having lessons, they never do it again. I think the number's around 80%, which is kind of sad. I was one of those people who went with some well-meaning friends when I was in middle school. They were great skiers, but they were not good instructors. So had something of a traumatic experience and didn't do it again for about 10 years. But I was one of the 20% who came back. So lessons make a big difference. Those lessons on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday really encourage you to grow in your confidence and kind of just feeling control over what you're doing. So I know it looks like it's easy on TV, but if you've never done it before, lessons make a huge difference. If you already know how to ski and snowboard, that's totally fine. They do have intermediate and advanced level classes, and they really want to make sure that you are in a class that's going to challenge you to improve. They want to make sure you're engaged in your classes. So after class 1, if you feel like, oh, that was a little too simple, or on the opposite end of the spectrum, like, whoa, that's a little too much, they can get you reassigned into another class that's better suited to where you are. Okay, basic trip itinerary, Monday through Thursday. You'll see Monday, we don't have to be up at the rental location until 3 p.m., so you can sleep in a little bit on that Monday morning. It is a mandatory check-in time of 3 p.m. That's where we'll get all of our equipment. kind of get our schedules for the week, and then we're going to go down the road about 5 minutes to our hotel, get settled in there, and then we're going to get suited up for our first evening ski session. We have to be at Ski Mountain at about 5:30 to check in. They will be dividing you into classes, and if you are a beginning skier or snowboarder, your lessons are going to be first thing. Your lessons are going to last about an hour, but then beyond that, you have open practice time. You can continue to work on some things you learned in class. You can certainly take breaks as needed, but we can stay until 10 p.m. That Monday evening. Tuesday and Wednesday are very identical days. We don't have to be at Ski Mountain until quarter to noon, which is great because, again, you're college students and may want to sleep in a little bit on holiday break and grab a little breakfast before we head in. But really our time at the mountain is going to be noon to 8 p.m. At some point during each of those days, you're going to have a lesson. Again, that lesson's about an hour. And then beyond that, it's just practice time. After your final lesson on Wednesday, there will be something of a proficiency skills test that'll take place, and then you'll be done with the class. Thursday, a little bit of a different day. We're not going back to Ski Mountain. We're going to check out of the hotel first thing, pack up the cars, and we're going to head to Sugar Mountain. It is a little bit of an earlier start. We have to be at the mountain between 8:30, 9 o'clock-ish to check in. But then our ski snowboard time at Sugar is 9 to 4:30. And then after that, as long as we have all of our rented equipment back to French Swiss by 5 p.m., we're good to go, and safe travels home. I do want to go ahead and say that these are some pretty long time blocks, days on the mountains. I would encourage you to take breaks throughout the day so that you're just not wearing yourself out too quickly, kind of just pacing yourselves. There are some groups that may decide to, leave for a little bit, maybe drive into Boone, grab lunch, and then come back a little bit later. I'm not going to be out there policing the slopes and making sure that everyone is out there for the full 8 hours. My job is to kind of facilitate and support, and if there are people who want to work on some things, I'm a skier, not a snowboarder. I'm glad to work with you. But just kind of pace yourself. We want you to enjoy the day, but if you are at a point where you're fatigued, it may be best to kind of just call it quits for the day. All right, few trip guidelines. Again, if you sign up and then find out later that you cannot participate, just let me know as soon as possible, and I'll kind of follow up with French Swiss about getting your refund processed. Fees are going to be paid by way of a credit or debit card at a registration meeting. I'll be giving out more info about that soon. The registration meeting will be held Thursday, November 21 at 11 a.m. here in the West Center. Please plan to register with your roommates. Program is going to be conducted regardless of the weather. Again, that's kind of that one thing that we can't control. We've had some years where we have super cold temperatures and others where maybe a little milder, but it's January. It's Boone. If they haven't seen a lot of natural snow, it's usually cold enough for them to make the snow they need for our program with their snow machine. So we're going to make the best of the weather that we have, but we can't just expect awesome conditions all the time. Maybe it'll happen. Who knows? Number 4, skiing and snowboarding is at your own risk. And number 5, carpool as much as possible. Just kind of makes shuttling back and forth to the hotel and up and down the mountain that much simpler. Oh, parking at Ski Mountain is a whole $1 a day, so plan accordingly. Okay, we kind of mentioned this. Again, if there is snow on the ground and they can run the program, they certainly will. If a student shows up and they decide not good enough for me, quite all right. They will issue you a refund, all but $110. If you begin the program and then decide that you want to opt out, at that point they cannot issue a refund. Option number 2, if there is no snow for some reason and it hasn't been cold enough for them to make snow, they'll cancel the program and we'll get a full refund and get that back to you. Clothing needs, we'll talk more about this at the registration meeting, but whenever we do stuff outside during winter months, our two primary goals are to stay warm and to stay dry. So this is just basic layering whenever we do these type of activities outdoors. Base layer, more of a tight form-fitting layer, kind of like the Under Armour material. Non-cotton, it's going to wick the sweat, the moisture away from the body. Over that, we want kind of a mid layer or an insulating layer. This would be like a fleece or a sweater or a vest of some kind, just trying to build up some loft between you and layer number 3, the outer layer. Your outer layer is kind of like your ski jacket, your ski bibs, or snowboard pants. It's generally a water-resistant or waterproof material. If you do not own our outer layers, it's okay because French Swiss rents those out as well. So, additional clothing items that you may want to bring. Something warm to keep on your head, warm hat. If you are a first-time skier or snowboarder, I highly recommend renting a helmet, especially if you're a snowboarder. They're only 15 bucks for the whole week, but it's just a nice added safety measure to kind of guard in case of a slip. Something warm for your face. We'll kind of know what the forecast is a week out if we're expecting some frigid temperatures. Kind of like a neck gaiter or a scarf to wear over your face is sometimes a good idea. Goggles are great in colder temperatures, but sometimes some sunglasses will work. But just something to kind of protect our eyes from the glare of the sun during the day on the snow. It can be pretty bright. So you can get those. French Swiss usually has some great affordable options as well. The ski jacket and the bib, I'll talk about these next two together, the jacket and the bibs. These can be a little more of the pricier items if you don't own them already, which is why a lot of our students will opt to just rent them. The rates are excellent. I can get a jacket or bibs, one or the other, for $20, or if I wanted to get both of them, I can get just pay $35 and I have them for the whole week. For those who don't know, bib pants are kind of like water-resistant pants, but they're kind of overallish. They kind of have the straps that come up over your shoulders to make sure they stay on. So, gloves and mittens, again, something to keep the hands cold. Gloves that are designed for skiing is important. Thin cotton gloves, not the best idea. So something with a little insulation in them as well. And then socks, plenty of socks. The big fluffy ones are great. Something to insulate and protect your foot. Again, cotton is not the greatest idea. So, final exam. Yes, there is a final exam. Should you be worried about it right now? Absolutely not. We do not take the exam while we're up there on the trip. I usually wait until we're back on campus, week 1 of the semester, and like the first Thursday during common time is a great time just to knock that out. It is open book. It will be based on instruction received and just general ski snowboard etiquette and info. It's multiple choice, true false matching. There are no essay questions. Unless you ask me politely, I will include a couple. All right. If you decide that this is something that you want to do, please remember that you have to sign up for the course in Wingspan, either the beginner section or the intermediate section. Registration for spring 2020 should be coming up very soon. What are some things you should be mindful of right now? I would welcome your support in kind of helping get the word out about this class, about these meetings for students who want to know more. We had a couple years where we took close to 50 students on this trip, and I will take as many as want to go. It's a great experience to share with friends, so feel free to tell them about the class and tell them to come to one of these meetings. There are a few different meetings still scheduled. We'll have one on Tuesday, October 22nd, 11 a.m., and then one the next day, Wednesday, the 23rd at 5 p.m. All meetings will be in West 221. So feel free to share that info with your friends. I would encourage you to begin thinking about your rooming group. Ultimately, you are responsible for kind of organizing, finding that group to be a part of. That's something that I try not to control. That would be kind of weird. However, if you have trouble finding a group to be a part of, I do have roommate sign-up sheets. If you're making your own rooming arrangements, co-ed rooming arrangements are permissible. But if you kind of sign up on my list, I only have like a guy's sign-up list and then a ladies sign-up list. So there is that. Okay, important slide right here, the registration meeting for the trip. So yes, you're going to sign up in Wingspan, but beyond that, we do have to meet and fill out the paperwork to send to French Swiss and for you to make payment. So as of now, I have scheduled 2 registration meetings. You and your rooming group should plan to come to one of them, and you'll need to come together. So you'll need to kind of coordinate that. First one, Thursday, November 21 at 11 a.m. We'll be in the West Center Computer Lab on the 2nd floor. And then the very next Tuesday, November 26 at 11 a.m. back in the West Center Computer Lab. Please note that fees are due at this time, and they must be paid by way of a credit or a debit card. We'll be making that payment in the Winthrop Marketplace store. So I'll provide all of that info in the lab on that day. Registration is going to include listing and confirming your roommates for the trip, which is why it's important that they are there. So it's good if you begin thinking about maybe trying to get your group organized. You're going to need to know the total number of your roommates in order to make the payment on that day. So just make sure you have that info. And then finally, if you have any questions between now and the registration meeting or before the trip, you are always welcome to contact me. There's my contact info. Email is a great way to get in touch with me. So please let me know if you do have any questions. And thank you for coming today. I hope I answered most of your questions. If not, let me know. But it's a great way to begin kind of a new semester. You're basically knocking out an entire class before the semester even begins here at Winthrop. And again, it's a great experience to share. Whether you're a beginner or an experienced skier or snowboarder, it is always a good time. So hope you have a good day and take care.